We be fussing, we be screaming, but you the one I wanna lay beside this evening. I'm gonna come back even when I'm leaving. You give good love and I receive it. When you feeling down, I'ma sing to you. That ring on your finger got a ring to it. That's that real love, God-fearing love. It may not be how we dreamed it, but it's still love. Can we ever sit down? Talk to me nice, I'ma talk back, baby. You know how we get down. Yeah, the way we gon' work it out.
Well, we're back for another episode. And I don't like what you said before we came on camera. You said it's always time for business.
Yeah.
It's not always time for business.
Yeah. Everything is business.
No. See,
yeah. Family is business. There's business in the family.
Right, but everything has to have its proper, box. Standard, like a... Everything can't bleed over into everything else.
Okay. All right.
You don't agree?
I don't want to go down that road with you.
Oh, so you're... Got it.
You
okay.
feel me?
That's a very, very, very smart for you to do.
Is that fair?
No, it's not fair, but...
It's fair.
Here we are, nonetheless. If you had 3 wishes right now, what would they be?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I wish I had $1 billion. I wish that I could have unlimited wishes.
Nope. That's always one of the ones you can't do.
No.
You
can't do that.
You cannot. Everybody knows who's ever watched the Genie movie. You can't wish for unlimited wishes.
So I wish for $1 billion. I wish for good health for myself and all of my family members.
Is there a duration?
And I would, I want everybody just die of natural causes, old age. Everybody just die of old age.
Okay.
And I wish for an immaculate money producing business mind.
Okay.
How about that? How about that? Yeah, that was unbelievable, wasn't it? I know it was. Oh. David, that was unreal, wasn't it? An immaculate money-producing business mind.
You have that now.
I'm talking about money. I ain't talking about, I'm talking about money. I'm talking about billions.
I think that everybody has billion-dollar ideas, but they don't have a billion-dollar work ethic.
I don't agree with that.
Billion-dollar follow-through.
I don't agree with that, but I think the people who do have billion-dollar ideas, a lot of them don't have billion-dollar work ethics.
I believe a lot of people who have billion-dollar ideas didn't know it was a billion-dollar idea.
True. I agree with that.
So you're saying this immaculate
business mind, money-producing business mind. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, if I had 3 wishes, I would wish for $10 million a month until the day that I died. And then when I died, it would go to my children's children. So 7 generations, $10 million a month until they die. 7 generations.
Okay.
My second wish is I wish that all of my loved ones lived at least 100 healthy years.
All right.
And then my third wish is I wish I was a little bit taller.
I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good. I would call. I wish
that Julius would get off of his cell phone. That's what I wish. That's my third. My third wish is that my beloved husband would put down his cell phone.
Keep wishing there.
And he would learn that when it's time to do stuff, that you can't do other stuff. That's what I wish.
What about multitasking?
You can't do that.
It's impossible?
It's proven.
Really?
Yeah.
I would like to speak for all of the moms across the country and
Nothing gets done
tell you that is not true.
To its 100% fullness when you have to do multiple
you
things.
switched it. You switched it. You said 100% fullness. I done seen moms holding a baby, feeding another baby, and on the cell phone. And
there's something empty. Is
all
what I'm telling you. Something's not getting done all the way. You didn't burnt something. You didn't forgot to say on the phone what you're supposed to say. Something is off.
Well, now that you threw the wrinkle in, of course.
Oh, it's not a wrinkle.
But that's not what we initially said. You said it's impossible to multitask.
Okay, let me tell you why it's impossible for you to multitask. Because you're on your phone and you're not here. You're not present.
I'm here.
No,
I'm here. We're talking. We're having good conversation. You're getting accusatory.
I'm not getting accusatory.
Yes, you are.
Prior to when we was mic'd up and everything ready to go.
And I said, hold on.
But it wasn't time for that.
The time was when I got done doing what I was doing, we was going to get started. That was the time. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else you want.
Okay.
So what we talking about today? I thought you had a good topic.
Yeah, I want to discuss something that I think is hilarious, but I think it may need some conversation around it. What do you do when you marry a big old freak?
Y'all, listen, man.
What do you do when you marry a big old freak?
Praise God. I mean, what you want me to say? You praise God.
You would praise God that you married a big old freak?
You give God all the glory.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No. Okay, let me.
You give
Is
God
it rephrase
all
or
of the glory.
Let me rephrase that. What do you do if you are not over sexual or as sexual as your partner? Let's say perfect world. Y'all are both. I can't say that because ain't nobody no virgins getting married anymore.
Yeah, that's not true. So you have some that have been kept.
Some that have been kept?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
But I'm not really talking about the ones that have been kept because, or maybe I am. What if you get married, say you and your spouse have had relations and prior to getting married, and it was, good sex. But during the course of the marriage, the spouse, whether it's male or female, maybe has ventured off into some Neverland stuff and they're being intrigued by some other things and they bring it into the bedroom.
What are you talking about? What are you referring to?
Saying all kind of stuff people.
I mean, I'm sure people are off into some crazy stuff, but give an example of something that you might be referring to.
Okay.
Help the listening audience get a grip.
Let's say in a marriage, the woman begins to bring in toys for pleasure.
Okay.
But she wants to use them on her husband.
See, that's not that.
Babe, this stuff happens.
I know it happens.
Okay. Now, we're talking about marriage covenant, and she has something that she wants to use on him. Is it okay?
What could you use on a man besides a dildo trying to penetrate a man's rectum?
Wait a second.
Let's just be clear.
Wait a second.
What in the world?
They got all kind of stuff. I mean, they got, like penis rings, and they got all kind of stuff. Is what I'm saying is, what if the woman brings it into the bedroom and
unannounced? Just
yes.
Like everything was regular,
yes.
And then all of a sudden one day,
baby, I want to try something.
I want to try this. Ta-da!
What if she don't? What if she doesn't bring toys? What if it's more? She wants to do something to you physically, and you're not comfortable with that. How should you, as a man, because we'll flip it in a minute, how in the world do you communicate to your spouse that that's freaky? and you're not comfortable with that, and then how does that person not be offended when so well, we're married and this is I'm a big old freak?
I think.
How do you satisfy this appetite that your spouse has?
I think honestly, just truth be told, for real, I think you should know a lot about your person sexually, not necessarily because you experienced it, but because you guys had conversation about it before you get to that point.
But what if we did? And what if we just have gotten older and now I'm just...
It's a conversation again. It's not, you don't just pop up in the bedroom out of nowhere with a penis ring. And that's something that's you guys have never done before. You don't just pop up, with the different types of stuff that you out of nowhere.
Okay, so let's just say there's a conversation. In that conversation, and your husband now has ventured off. Maybe he didn't heard some things from his friends. Maybe he's just not sexually satisfied anymore with just plain sex. Maybe he didn't read him some books.
Okay. All those is real. Okay.
What happens now when he comes to his wife and says, yo, I'm trying to try this, and the wife is like, that's nasty. I'm not trying to try that. Is there somebody that's wrong? Is there somebody who's right? Like, how does this work?
To be honest with you, I don't know. Just to keep it all the way real. I think it's a conversation and there needs to be some sort of compromise.
I was going to say, is there compromise in that situation?
Some sort of agreement that needs to happen. You know what I mean? There needs to be an explanation as to what would make you all of a sudden now want to start trying all of these other things, what's going on, what's happening. And then it would be need to have conversation with the person. Why don't you want to try that? What's the hindrance? What's the holdup? What's happening here? And I think the lack of communication is what will cause, a lot of the rift. But you at least need to bring it to the forefront. Like, hey, I saw an ad on, social media as I was scrolling, and it looked pretty intriguing.
So as a man, I want to know if you'll be honest. As a man, though, would you be intimidated if I came to you and said, hey, I want to introduce X, Y, or Z? Would you immediately feel like you're not doing your job and so I have to go get something else?
I think as a man, potentially, I think potentially that would be a thought that would come is maybe she feels like I'm not doing my job. And then another question that comes to play is where do we go from here? What's next?
Yeah, like what does the line of compromise look like
what's next? When you've graduated from the ring and now you want, a thing.
Please, somebody come help.
Seriously. When you graduated from the ring and now you want a thing.
Come help, please.
Where do we go from here? What's next?
Yeah, I would like to know the compromise, because I wonder if there's women who would probably not be honest enough. Because one thing about men, y'all's egos, we have to make sure that we cradle and protect them. And how do you even say to your husband, hey, I'm going to need about 4 or 5 more.
4 or 5 more what? 4 or 5 more what?
You have feet, and then you have
inches.
Yeah.
4 or 5 more inches.
Like what? Like how do you even say like that to your and still protect his ego?
I don't know.
And then as a man, how do you tell your wife you might need to go get reconstructive surgery on your walls? It might be, might be too loose.
What are we talking about?
I'm serious. This is stuff that people...
What are we talking about?
Now, let me tell you how I know this stuff is happening. We were online one day.
What are we talking? What happened?
Listen to what I'm about to say. We were online one day, and Julius and I, before we got online, we were talking about women get BBLs and they get mommy makeovers and they get all this other stuff. Then it was on Instagram where now in overseas somewhere you can have a penile reconstructive surgery and it adds so many inches to your penis. And me and Julius were going back and forth, and he was trying to tell me that it's the same thing as a BBL. And I was like, it is not the same thing as a BBL. What's the same thing as penis reconstructive surgery would be, which they have, surgery that women can go get to reconstruct or retighten their cavity. How do you as a husband tell your wife you're introducing something now into the bedroom because she didn't have maybe some kids and stuff is not where it used to be? How do you as a wife tell your husband, hey, this was cool, but now I want to introduce this? Like, where is the compromise of how do we dig through these conversations? And this is not our issue or our lives because everything's good. But how do you, as a married person, even sit your spouse down to have that conversation?
I think the reality is so a couple things. So you mean to tell me that as from a woman's perspective, because I ain't about to go there. Anyways, I think we need to address the issue of sex for real.
Oh, okay.
I feel like, honestly, I feel like sex plays a much greater role and part in the existence of human beings than what most people are willing to admit.
I love it. Let's go there.
I feel like because of that, there's a lot of hidden thoughts and feelings and perspectives and all of that around sex that are unaddressed. And I think sex holds a much higher place in our lives than what we really want to admit. I think, honestly, if I could be real, I think sex is an idol in American culture.
Jeez.
And I think because a lot of people idolize sex, we don't know how to standardize it.
That's really good.
And so, we're idolizing, what we're seeing and what we're hearing about. And so just because that's what we're seeing and what we're hearing about doesn't mean that that's going to be our experience or that has to be our experience in order for us to be fulfilled. It's kind of like the same thing like the clothing culture. You have these quote unquote designers and you have these expensive designers and you got, $2,500 t-shirts and, you know what I'm saying, $30,000 Birkin bags and things along those lines. And if we're not careful, we'll think because I'm not carrying a $25,000 Birkin bag that my life is in shambles and that I'm not okay. And so we start comparing with what has been deemed as the top.
But what if it's, okay, so just a little pushback, not much. I agree with you with sex being an idol, but I think what's the bigger idol is self-pleasure. Because I think self-pleasure is where it can get into almost a rabbit hole. Because sex within itself, God created sex between a man and a woman, supposed to be for marriage, for procreation, and of course, it's pleasurable. I think what happens is that pleasurable piece or that pleasurable part, that can begin to get weird.
Well, I think
and weird may not be the best choice of word, but it can begin to get what pleasured me at one point maybe no longer pleasures me, and so now I'm seeking to be pleasured, and so you kind of open up Pandora's box.
Is it pleasure or is it perversion? Because that's another question.
I don't in the marriage bed. I don't think it's perverse.
But the reason why I asked you that is this: when you start talking about self-pleasure. I've watched shows from doctors that say the woman's vaginal cavity is only so big. All right? It's only so big. And so it doesn't take as much as what these songs are claiming it takes in order for a woman to be pleased. I'm serious. And I don't know who's watching the women. You don't need 12.
Okay.
Let's be clear. No. I'm being serious. I'm being serious.
But
and this ain't knocking.
This ain't
No.
Some
but this ain't knocking whoever, whatever. This ain't like putting a stigma on anything. But what I'm saying is I think sometimes we get caught up into what we're hearing.
No, some caves are deeper than others. Okay,
I agree with that.
And so
I agree with
because of that, all women are not
Well, let me ask you this
the
question.
same.
Well, let me ask you this question then. Let me ask you this question since we're talking about that. So how can a little bullet vibrator that's this big satisfy probably a whole bunch of women?
Because it's different stimulation. One
That's
is
my point. That's my point.
clitoral stimulation. The other one is being penetrated. It's two different things.
Well, that's my point. My point I'm making is that I don't think that, like, it's a matter of pleasure. I think it could be a matter of sometimes perversion, man.
So you're gonna have to help me, and you're gonna have to help probably anybody else who is been raised in a church or a Bible reader, because the scripture that comes to mind is that the marriage bed is undefiled.
So yeah.
So when
We ain't talking about.
you're bringing in the word perversion in the context of marriage. So how or when is it perverse when you're dealing with the bedroom of a married couple?
That's a great question. I think perversion comes in as like when there's never satisfaction. When there's never satisfaction, that could be a indicator that you're dealing with a spirit of perversion.
And when you say never
you
satisfied,
mean to tell me
dive
that
into that.
ain't nothing okay? You know what I mean? We done hung.
We done got swings.
We done hung from the ceiling, dog. We done everything, and you just it's never enough.
Okay, so you're saying that may be an indication that individual has crossed over into perversion.
Yeah, you've probably crossed over if it's never enough.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's almost like it's like sexual gluttony.
Okay.
You just doing it just to be doing it. You just eating just to be eating. You're not hungry. You know what I'm saying?
Good. That's good.
And so now it becomes almost like a mental construct. You ain't even horny no more. You just mentally got a stronghold with sex. And so now, you know what I mean? It's like it's prompting you to do more and to go further and to go deeper. You're not even stimulated.
Okay, but to be fair though, we've been married 11 years together, almost 13 years. There's people that we know have been married 30 years, 40 years. At some point though, would you say that people are allowed to maybe explore more depths in the bedroom with their partner and it's like meal prepping? I ate chicken every day last week. I don't want chicken today.
But exploration is different than perversion. So exploration is all right, we normally was doing it, missionary, I hit it from the back every now and again. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You ride me from time to time. Seriously. Okay, and then it's like, well, let's explore some other positions.
And so you're saying that there is a conversation.
Yeah, that's a conversation. Let's put some lingerie on. Let's do some candles. Let's set the mood. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're trying to spice it up. We're exploring other things that could potentially enhance our experience.
And I think this conversation is just vital to marriages. I was reading this thing the other day that was saying it's like 70% of the marriages in America it was like 50%, almost 50% of marriages in America are considered sexless marriages.
That's crazy.
And then you have another percentage of, it goes to like the once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. It started breaking it down. But I think this conversation is important, especially in a believing household, is having the comfortable conversation. If you are not satisfied with your spouse,
find out why.
Find out
what's the root cause of your unsatisfaction.
Absolutely.
And then work from there. Because what you could find is that the root cause of your unsatisfaction has nothing to do with what each other is doing to each other. It could be a spiritual thing. It could be a mental thing. You feel me? And so you got to make sure you're finding the root cause, because if you're introducing practical wrinkles into a spiritual situation, it's not going to stop anything. if you're dealing with a spirit of perversion and you introducing dildos and penis rings into the equation,
It's making it worse.
It's not going to stop.
But what if you're not? I think, and I agree with you. However, there are people who are not dealing with the spirit of perversion.
Correct. They just need a little, or they just need a little. They just whatever. Anyways, you know what I'm saying? And so it could be that. You know what I mean? But anyways, y'all, this been good. Y'all get the drift of what we've been talking about. My wife brought this into the conversation.
Because I think it's a very good conversation that married people don't have. They don't want to talk about sex. They don't want to talk about money. And them is the two things. The reason why people either cheat or get a divorce is sex and money. Like, let's talk about the realness.
It could be, y'all, but we got to end now. We love y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this segment.
I can't wait to talk to y'all again.
Follow us on YouTube at Make Marriage Great Again Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Make Marriage Great Again Podcast. Follow us on IG at MMGA Podcast. Download, subscribe, share. Do everything that you need to do. We holla at y'all soon.
Peace out, my G's.